Yes, Bismillah, you can start.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Everybody, good afternoon. My name is Azman Ismail. I've given you about 9 hours of lecture notes, but we are going to do in 1 hour or so. So I hope that I can squeeze everything and just give you what I think you need. But of course, you can ask questions that that is under Takaful practice, because I'm also touching on the theory. Now, first things first, if you look at the notes and so on, most words are transliterated. What does this mean? It means that, you know, it's not like your normal slides, or rather in PDF form. You can see I've sent you the PDF form. For example, something on, there's a bar on top, it means you have to say it longer. Like Takaful, you have to say Takaful, like K-A-A, Takaful. And then a dot at the bottom means slightly different. Hukum, you can say hukum, but never mind. But the Arabs will say hukum, which is slightly different. And then there's a small C there, superscript. It is with a nasal sound, like ain. For Muslims, it's easier. For non-Muslims or familiar, maybe it's a bit difficult. So we have Shariah. So these are the pronunciation. Don't worry if you are not familiar, but in 20 years' time, if you want to be an expert, you have to know all this. Now, let's go to one by one. What is Takaful first? Then why Takaful, how we do it, and then the number 4 and number 5, I will squeeze them so that you can have questions. Now, what is Takaful? Takaful is an Arabic word. It comes from the word takafala. And the root word is kafala. You know, Arabic is quite easy. They have kafala, fa'ala, daraba, all So you have to find the root word, we call it. So for Takaful is kafala. So kafala means he guaranteed. Daraba, he hit. So when there's a ta in front, that means mutual. Let's say 2 guys are fighting. One hit the other, we say daraba. But when we say tadaraba, that means both hitting each other. So guarantee is also like that. Both guaranteeing or mutual guarantee. Now, mutual guarantee, there's a verb. But when we say takaful, that's a noun. Okay, that's the basics. Now, what is the concept of takaful? I'm going very fast. If you want to stop me, please do. But I think it's better to go for question and answers now. The concept of takaful is that the policy holders mutually insure each other rather than the takaful company, rather than the insurance company. So instead of the insurance company insuring the policy holders, in the concept of takaful, it is the policy holders who are insuring each other. So the takaful operator or the insurer in this case is only an agent to manage. It's like the guy say, okay, I give you this money, you manage the money for me. You manage the money for us, the funds for us, the takaful funds for us. So that is the concept of takaful. So an agent instead of an insurer. So you see that this clearly say the consequence is that there is a difference here already. Okay, we will cover. And then kafil. We have the word kafil and kafil, which is slightly different, but the comprehensive one is kafil. Now, the Prophet, okay, you know, when the Muslims, when they, in Islam, when they want to make a decision, so what they do is, when they make a decision, always refer to the Quran and refer to the Prophet, what the Prophet said, what the Prophet did. So when the Prophet said, Ana wa kafilul yatim fil jannah hakadha, he said, I am the kafil, the guardian or the, you know, protector of the orphan are like this in heaven, okay, in paradise. So the status of the guardian or the kafil is together with the status of the prophets in paradise. Now, historical development, basically people have not discussed insurance early. So it was started by Ibn Abidin. He was a great Hanafi scholar, and people asked him, so he answered. And before that, there have been discussions, but not on takaful, okay, on other things. So then they followed by many others. They have different opinions. Some say insurance is okay, some say not, and so on. But in any case, in 1979, we had the Sudan Islamic Insurance Company, and then in Malaysia in 1985. So I had the opportunity to be in Malaysia. And of course, even at that time, we had a problem because the scholars don't really know what is takaful. So they sent me to speak to all the ustaz and so on. And the Ustaz, of course, they have so many questions like you all will have. Some of you are from the religious background, but Alhamdulillah, we managed to answer all these queries. Now, why takaful is because there are debates on conventional insurance. Some scholars say halal, some say haram. Majority say haram, but some say not haram. A few say not haram. So what do we do? Is it halal or haram? Of course, some people, they follow the straight one. They say, okay, we follow, we say that it's haram, then we follow you. But the others say, no, we follow the scholar who is a bit more liberal in that sense. So we follow them. So what do we do? So in Islam, we have to cater for everybody. So to be on the safe side, we set up takaful. Okay. Now, why do the scholars have differences of opinion? There are many reasons for differences of opinion. Now, there are certain things, there are no differences of opinion. There are certain things, there are differences of opinion. On things, on what we call ibadah, the vertical relationship between man and God, there is no difference. It is what they call the horizontal relationship. We have differences in opinion because of interpretation, because of different situation and so on. For example, even when I'm in Singapore, I'm in Malaysia, my decision is different. For example, what about insurance in some types of insurance in Singapore or in Australia? People ask me in Australia, Brother Azman, can we take this insurance because there's no takaful? Even at that time, they call it a church policy. It is not even a mosque policy, a church policy, because at that time they don't have this religious building policy. They call it a church policy. So they asked me, I said, yes, you can take. Why is it that my answer, my reply is different? Because we have a legal maxim here. If you look at the bottom, changes in ruling follows changes in time, place, and condition. This legal maxim has been accepted by all the scholars. And in Arabic, it says, "Taghayyur al-hukum bi taghayyur az-zaman wal-makan wal-hal." So I know of the ustaz here and ustazah, of course, they can remember, but for those of us who are not the ustaz and ustazah, it's difficult for us to remember. But I give you a shorter version. The shorter version says, "Taghayyur al-ahkam bi taghayyur al-azman." Okay? It says azman, but it's not my name. It means changes in ruling follows changes in time. Okay? So different time, different ruling, different situation, different place. For example, the COVID-19 in Singapore, in Malaysia, in many countries, the Friday prayers is supposed to be obligatory, okay, on everybody, on every Muslim male. But then the scholars say in certain time, okay, here, red zone is haram. Green zone is not haram, you see? Because the situation, the place is different. So this is the same with takaful or any other discussion. So you can see that why the scholars allow, or rather say that the mosque, you cannot pray Friday prayers when there is a ruling to say that you cannot pray Friday prayers during COVID-19, and the scholars say allow it. The scholars say they agree with the rulers. Why do they agree? Because of certain, we cannot accuse them of saying, hey, this scholar is, they just want to please the rulers. No, it is because of the situation. Now, those who say haram, there are many. We have former Mufti of Egypt, we have Sheikh Ahmad Ibrahim, we have the more famous one, two famous one, Muhammad Abu Zahra is a very famous scholar and very, I would say, one of the top scholars in the world. And Sheikh Abdul Karim Zaidan, he is also a great scholar. These are people that I respect. In fact, I translated his book after he died. A year after that, I translated his book. It's on legal maxims because I find it very interesting. And then we have the many scholars in the conference, in the Majlis Fatwa Kebangsaan and the Fiqh Academy. You can Google all this yourself, or EOFI and so on. They say haram. Now, why do they say haram? We are looking at the haram first, those who say halal a bit later, because we want to understand this concept. Then only we go to the models, to the practice and so on. Now, they say it's a fasid practice. Fasid means is corrupt or is negative, okay? Because of three elements, gharar, maisir, and riba. Now, What is gharar? I'll explain a bit later, but in short, it means gharar means because the azan is a bit this one my concentration, but I hope I can. Can you hear the azan? It's very clear here. So I'll just so my concentration is now a bit it's not okay now. I'll try. Okay. So gharar basically is literally it means uncertainty, because what is the time of contract, the amount, this is gharar. It's not clear according to scholars. So gharar means not clear. Now what they call it, they say it's a major gharar, because the Prophet say, the Prophet prohibit what they call gharar, or something that is not clear, the exchange that is not clear. Now what happens here is that the gharar insurance, according to the scholars, there is a major thing. If minor, no problem, because everything is gharar. Basically, when I want to sell, I went to Brunei, they sell this mata kucing. He said, how much is this? $2, bang. This one, $2. This one, $2. They say, this one, they say, abang, you want to buy or not? Of course, I want to buy, but I just want to know how much. They say, all $2. Then I say, how many pieces here? How many, mata kucing in this? He said, I don't know. This one, don't know. So can I tell him, look, you don't even know that is gharar, that is not clear. Can I say that? Yes, in a sense, but it is not haram. Because of course there are gharar in many things, but they say it is a major gharar. Okay, we will come back to this later. The other one is a risk which is related to gharar. They call it khatar. Okay, because of absolute loss or gain, either you pay the premium, you lose the money if you don't claim, or you gain a lot. So they call it absolute loss or gain. So according to them, this is also haram. They say that some scholars say it is betting, gambling. You gamble with your life, you gamble with your premium, you gamble with everything. Because why gambling? Because they say because of ignorance, juhala, uncertainty, gharar, and probability. So because of these elements, the transaction or becomes betting or gambling. This is what they claim. Now, the other one that the scholars claim that what makes insurance haram is the riba. I don't know how to translate it, interest, usury, and so on. But basically, it's like the Prophet said, if you want to change money with money, not money with money, 6 items, it must be yadan bi yadin, that means hand to hand. If I give you $1, you must give me $1 today. I give you 1 gram of gold, you give me back 1 gram of gold today. We exchange now on the spot. Now, this is a slight problem because what if what they call the interest-free loan? I give you 1,000 today, you pay me back 1,000 after 1 month. So technically, it is against what the Prophet said. But we have all this, don't worry. We have what we call istihsan in this case. I'm not able to explain now, but if you ask me later after we have all the time, I can explain. Now, then we have scholars who say that insurance is haram, is halal. Muhammad Abduh is what they call it, the Grand Mufti, not Grand Mufti, the Sheikhul Azhar, the highest at that time in the world, in the Muslim world. And then we have Abdul Rahman Isa, Yusuf Musa Ali, all these are great scholars from Egypt who say that insurance is halal. And we also have Mustafa Zarqa. Very interesting, Mustafa Zarqa is also a great scholar. Just like Muhammad Abu Zahra. Muhammad Abu Zahra, great scholar. We have Mustafa Zarqa, great scholar. One say haram, one say halal. And Mustafa Zarqa is quite interesting. He doesn't have a degree. He's like me. We don't have qualifications. Although I teach the masters and PhD in the university, I don't have masters and PhD. So similarly, Sheikh Mustafa Zarqa, he doesn't have any qualification, but he is a great scholar. In fact, I recommend you all to read. We have translated, I have edited, but not correctly because I didn't have time. But he, by Ifrim, I forgot the name of the book, but he's a great scholar. So he was vocal and said that, in the meeting there are 9 people, two people, I don't remember the other one. Because he is the one that is vocal saying that insurance is allowed. So majority say haram, minority say halal. Now, why halal? Because number one, insurance is a new contract. There is no tax. When we say tax, it means the divine tax. The divine tax means the Quran or what the Prophet said. There is no tax. Now, you remember I said the horizontal and vertical. For the horizontal, when there is no tax, it is halal. Now we have a legal magazine that says that al-aslu fi asya al-ibaha hatta yadilu dalilu ala tahrim. The default ruling for anything is permissibility unless there is a tax prohibiting it. If there is no tax, it is halal. For example, using the computer, using Zoom, using the aircon, using the fan, electricity during the Prophet's time, we don't have all this. We don't have airlines, airplanes, we don't have. So the basic ruling of all this is permissibility. Insurance, we don't have insurance during the Prophet's time. We don't know it's a halal or haram, so it is halal. That's one. That's number one. Number two, there is a genuine maslahah. They say, look, we need insurance. Otherwise, not everybody can fly. Now everybody can fly because there is insurance. Otherwise, AirAsia will be worried. Tony Fernandez will be worried. If there is no insurance on his aeroplane, he will call the pilot every time. Hey, please, you pilot this plane carefully. Otherwise, I will die. If one plane is gone, I don't have insurance. So insurance is because there is maslahah. In fact, anywhere you go, there is insurance. You take the public bus, you take MRT, you take the bus, you take the, you go to the airport, insurance. Okay, there is insurance. That's number two. Number three, we call it uruf, customary practice. Because of the customary practice is allowed. In Islam, we have what we call custom uruf, we call it. When we decide on certain things, the Quran doesn't say, the Prophet doesn't say, we look at other things. One of them is what we call the custom. What is the prevailing custom that is being practiced? For example, you go, I don't know in Singapore, but in Malaysia, if I go to the mamak restaurant, I have to pay for. I eat first. If I go to McDonald's or KFC, I pay first. In Singapore, if you go to the mamak restaurant, you pay first or you eat first? I don't know. But in Malaysia, we eat first. Now, how can we eat? It's not ours yet. We haven't paid for it. We eat first. Then we'll say, Mama, count. Then the mama say, $15. Huh? $15? Count again? Oh, sorry, $18. The price of petrol just gone up. So we pay more. So we have a problem here, right? But that's the customary practice that you're allowed. For example, another example. I don't know about Singapore, but in Malaysia, we always have yesterday's curry. You go to the mamak shop, you ask for curry and so on. Then you ask, Mama, is this today's curry? Say, no, it is yesterday's curry. I want today's curry. You want today's curry? Come tomorrow. So, let's say you have a friend, from Australia, eating the curry, he got stomachache, and then he went to the clinic and $100 bill. So he can sue. What if he goes to a Sharia court? How do you think the judge will decide? Then the judge will ask him. Ask the man. He said, Mr. Judge, I went to his restaurant and I got stomach. I didn't know that the customary practice is that they always give yesterday's curry. So I got some. So he can claim. But if you claim, then the mama will say, look, Mr. Judge, he always come to my restaurant for 20 years and he never got stomachache. So under the circumstances, the judgment is different. It depends on the customary. What is, the practice. Now, other than this, he claimed, Mustafa Zarqab claimed that it is based on the Quran, the Sunnah, and the Sharia. Objectives of the Sharia, we call it. Objective means one of the things is maslahah, the interest, what is the benefits. Therefore, he said it is allowed because of the maslahah benefit to mankind. Okay, people say, the other scholars say that cooperative insurance is allowed. But what they are against was commercial insurance. But to him, no, he said, whether cooperative or commercial, it is okay. This is his opinion. And he said, when they come with the premium and so on, it's quite scientific and you can come out with something that is clearly fair to each other and the regulators and so on. So this is his opinion. Now, but then the IFA, the other scholars came out with the rebuttal. There are many points, but I just come out with a few. He said there are three types of maslahah. You know, when we say maslahah means the general benefit to mankind, there are three types of benefit. One is called maslahah mu'tabara, maslahah mulgha, and maslahah ammah. Only the mu'tabara is confirmed by Quran. The other one is not confirmed, which so they reject, because, and then the middle one is most scholars accept it. So if the negative is greater than positive, then it is not allowed. If the positive is greater, then it is allowed. So this is an opinion. Whether which is greater, is it the positive aspects or the negative aspects? That's why they come up with different opinions. Then you remember I said the original ruling that the default ruling of any matter is permissible. He said this is not valid because they say it is against the Quran and the Sunnah. Okay. And then the argument also necessitates, we have this argument that says darura tubihul mahzura, necessitates render prohibited things permissible. Although it is haram, it becomes permissible. Okay. And then they say customary practice is not, they don't accept. Of course, this is a debate whether this is the evidence or not. It is not a strong evidence, but most scholars allow it. And then we have analogy of insurance with fidelity guarantee. They say it's not allowed because you are paying, the other one is not paying, and all blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, what is gharar? Gharar, the scholars, because the Prophet did not say, did not define what is gharar. Gharar is what is understood by the scholars. So As-Sarakhsi said, gharar is that whose consequences are hidden. You don't know the consequence. You don't know whether this thing will happen or not. So in insurance also, they relate the same thing. They equate it to be the same. Al-Karaf is that gharar is not known to, is what is not known in the future. Okay, that is gharar. For example, when you buy birds in the air and the water and so on, this fish in the water, they don't allow. The Prophet did not allow. But then, okay, I will come back to that later if we have time. But the fish in the water, let's say you go to the seafood restaurant and so on, don't tell me there's haram. But anyway, we will cover that later if we have time. And then basically, if you look at Ibn Hazm, the last one, gharar is where the buyer does not know what he bought or the seller does not know what he sold. It's ignorance. Okay, in insurance happen. But in Takaful also the same thing. I say, hey, you ambil Takaful lah? Yeah, itu Takaful lah. So, what is the cover? I don't know lah. I just told because the agent, he asked me to buy, I buy lah. So, he doesn't know. You ask the agent also, I don't know lah because my upline say you sell this product lah, more commission mah. So you see, we have a problem here. Is that gharar? If there is in insurance gharar, there is also gharar in Takaful. So anyway, these are all what we call academic discussions. We will come back. Okay, is there really gharar in commercial insurance? Okay, we have. Okay, what happened is that when you say that gharar fahish, is there a major gharar here? That means gharar fahish means major gharar. Is insurance major or just a minor? So these are, because I know when I pay the premium how much, the cover how much, but I do not know how much I will get because I do not know the exact nature of claim I will make. But still I know something, right? I know that's the maximum. I don't know exactly, but I know that's the maximum that will be paid to me. And I know that the average clause, all these clause and that is all very clear. So is that gharar? And I pay. I know I pay. Even in life insurance, I know I pay 20 years, 30 years, endowment and so on. Is that gharar? I don't know how much I will pay. I will pay if I die. I don't know when I die, so I don't know when I pay. But you know the maximum you will pay is this number of years, right? So these are all something that can be debated. Amount of money, some assured. But exactly how much? I don't know lah, because unless I buy certain thing that is that's called non-par policy, blah blah blah, then there is no gharar. So all these are debatable. So I'm just giving, because you all are students, you want to be intellectuals, so I'm giving all the opinions, okay? And some other opinions I haven't given. Okay, let's look at whether gharar in insurance, gambling. Is gharar gambling? Is insurance gambling? Well, you can see that I pinpoint here only 5. I don't remember the rest, but basically 5. Number 1, gambling creates risk. If I don't go to golden sands, what do you call it? Golden sands? I don't remember. No, but Genting lah. In Malaysia, I go to Genting. I go to Genting and gamble. I create the risk. If I don't go, that means I'm entering a risk. Whereas insurance, I get out of a risk. I have a risk of losing this money, but with paying the insurance premium, I am now transferring the risk to the insurer. So I am getting out of the risk. So exit and enter is different. When you enter a room and exit a room, is it the same? Or KL, Singapore, Singapore, KL, the flight, is it the same? It's a different flight, although the route and the plane is the same, but the flight number is different. KL, Singapore, Singapore, KL is different. Okay? KL, Genting, Genting, KL. One you go to Genting, one you come back from Genting. So that is different. Number 2, gambling pays to the fortunate winner, but insurance pays to the unfortunate insured, right? You know, the agent doesn't, after the husband died, the agent doesn't go to the widow, to the wife and say, congratulations, your husband died. No, they didn't say. But for gambling, oh, congratulations, you won all these things. So you get congratulations, but you don't congratulate the widow, right? And then gambling loses bet, insurance loses premium. Okay, this is not so much different. Okay lah, let's say the same. And then gambling, we don't have insurable interest. That means in insurance, is the other way around? Can you change it? In insurance, there must be insurable interest. Gambling causes addiction. Insurance does not cause addiction. You're addicted. When you gamble, you're addicted. Then people ask me, Brother Azman, how do you know you're addicted? Hey, I know lah, because when I was small, I was a gambler. What did I do? What did I gamble? I gamble, rubber band, guitar, they call it. I put 1. If I lose, I put 2. The next round, if I lose, I put 4. The next round, if I lose, even if I win, I don't go back. I still want to gamble. You see? Because it's addicted. But in insurance, it's not. You pay, let's say, $1,000 premium this year, and then you don't die of COVID-19, and then next year you say, oh, I didn't die last year. Now I put 2,000. Then next year you put 4,000. You don't, right? You are not addicted in insurance. You are only addicted in gambling. So what about riba? Okay, riba, I think not directly lah, but indirectly, because there's a legal maxim that says ma'adda ilal haram fahuwa haram. Whatever leads to haram, it is haram. You don't do the haram, the company does the haram. But then the other scholars, we can see also, you go to the shop, they don't know what you do with the money. Yeah lah, I pay only for the, Maggi and so on. I buy Maggi only. I don't know what they do with my money lah. It's their money already. Whether they want to do haram things with the money is not my problem. Similarly, when you pay the premium, what they do is not a problem. But then we have a problem here if for life insurance, they call it some policies and whereby the return. But for others like general insurance, there's no issue of riba. In that sense, only indirectly. Okay. So let's say haram lah. Is easy lah. Yeah, easier to say things are haram, but because of to solve the problem for the people, let's say it is haram. So because of how to make it halal, so we base it on the Takaful concept, whereby the policy holders like the cooperative insurance and so on, they are the ones that are allowed. So that's why scholars allow mutual or cooperative insurance, which is basically the same thing. There's no difference. Now, the basis of Takaful, what is the basis? Of course, we have a basis in the Quran. And then we have, we say Quran, we look at the Prophet, and we look at what we call precedents. Now, the Quran says, وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. That means help one another in righteousness and piety, and not in sin and transgression. So this is something good, but we must do it properly. Although it is good, you cannot do like insurance, because insurance, they have some problems and so on, an Islamic element, so we cannot allow. Because we have a legal maxim that says that al-ghayah la tubariru wasilah. That means the end does not justify the means. You want to help people, there's COVID-19, but you steal the money. So helping the people is right, stealing the money is not right. So insurance is helping, this thing is good, but then the way of insurance is not correct. I mean, if we agree with the scholars there. So prophetic guidance, yes, there was insurance at that time, but only according to Muhammad Hamidullah, only large risk from objects of insurance. We have that, we call it ma'akil. It's not insurance, we call it ma'akil, whereby, akilah, that means if somebody dies, in Islam, okay, I think it's in the next slide, blood money. So what happened? You have to pay blood money. At that time, is death 1,000 camels, 100 camels, one teeth, 5 camels, one finger, 5 camels. If you hurt somebody and he lost the finger, you have to pay 5 camels. If you accidentally kill somebody, it's 100 camels. You remember the case of Sarah Balabagan? Sarah Balabagan was a Filipino maid working in the United Arab Emirates. What happens was that they applied the rule of this blood money. She killed her employer. She claimed that the employer tried to rape her, but the plaintiff said that, it cannot be, because the employee is 70 years old. How can he try to rape you? So in any case, because maybe she couldn't speak Arabic, blah, 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 the lawyers were not good and so on, she was found guilty, and they want her to be killed. I mean, to life for a life. So it became international thing and so on. The king came in, but the king cannot interfere. It's the family must agree. So the family at last agreed that she paid 100 camels, blah, 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 and so on. So the international collection came about, and blood money was paid. So this is blood money. During the Prophet's time, the same thing. The guy don't have, I don't have 100 camels. Maybe I have only 1 camel. So they come up together and pay the blood money. So this is a form of social insurance. So you see that, for example, in life, 100 camels. Nose, if detached, 100 camels also. I think because it's important at that time. Nose was very important. Wound in the brain, 33 camels. Belly wound, 33 camels. An eye, 50 camels. A hand, 50 camels. Finger, 10 camels. A teeth was 5 camels, okay? So all these things that they have to pay. If I accidentally hurt somebody, so the family can claim all this from me. So they don't have money to pay, they use the concept of ma'akil. So according to Hamidullah, it is an insurance based on the concept of mutuality. That means it is mutual insurance. Then, because in insurance haram, Qaradawi suggested, he said, okay, we can have insurance, but pay by tabarruk, by donation. Now, I'm not saying that I don't agree with Qaradawi, but we will see that in practice it's slightly different. Qaradawi is a great scholar, but as I said, in Islam, even if what the Prophet said, we have to understand the context. We have to look at the text and context. You cannot say, the Prophet said like this. Azman, the Prophet said that, the Prophet said that a newborn child that does not cry cannot inherit. Huh? Then If the baby doesn't cry, cannot inherit die lah. What if the baby like this guy is cannot talk and so on, mute? We have a problem because the Prophet said that. We need to understand the context. What is the context of the Prophet saying? The Prophet said that what he meant was the baby that was born, stillborn. That means does not cry, because normally the doctor will hit and the baby will cry. That shows that it's alive. If it is not alive, then cannot inherit. So when we have these rules on inheritance and so on, this is the thing that we apply. So we must understand what the Prophet said, or what the scholar said. When the scholar say, during the old times, during the Prophet's time, some scholar, and then they say that, but some say is what the Prophet said, but actually is not what they call strong enough. That if you want to ease yourself, do not face the moon. Oh, I want to, in Malaysia we call it big water. I don't know what in Singapore what you all say. Small water, big water. That means I want to go to the toilet and so on. I cannot face the moon. And how come? You must understand the context of the saying. It was at that time, they don't have toilets like us today. They sometimes sit in under the moonlight and face the moon. So we have a problem. That's why the scholars say do not face the moon. One day this guy was praying Allahu Akbar, but he couldn't concentrate. Friday prayers, I don't know what, but there was a congregational prayers. He couldn't concentrate. Why? Because the guy beside him was so smelly, didn't take his bath for maybe 3-4 months. I don't know. So in Malaysia, you cannot do that. In Saudi Arabia, yes. The Prophet, you know what the Prophet said? He called everybody, guys, take your bath at least once a week. So the scholar will write books and saying that the best is to take your bath once a week. Because if you take bath more than once a week, you are wasting water. If more than 1 week, you don't take your bath, it's smelly. So the best is once a week. But then in Malaysia, Singapore cannot lah. I have to take my bath, especially when I went to Bombay last time. I went out 5 times a day. I had to take my bath 5 times. So in Singapore, in Malaysia, maybe 2-3 times or at least once a day. So the ruling is not applicable here, although the Prophet said once a week. So maybe to the Middle Eastern scholar, because it's not smelly. So if you are in Malaysia, you have to take once a day. So it's not the same thing. Now, so they come up with this suggestion. They call it NIC. Okay, I have just give me 15 or 5 or 10 more minutes. Okay, they say there are 4 relationships in Takaful. One is musyarakah, that means the partnership among the participants. Wakalah, the agent between the participants and operator. And then between the operator with regard to the fund is mudarabah, profit sharing, or wakalah agency. And then among the participants, they call it in the Takaful fund, tabarruk, iltizam bit tabarruk, they say. Now, what is tabarruk? We have a problem, but that's not really a problem in the sense that you are giving one-sided. So I pay 100. But the insurance company said the Takaful premium, the contribution, you must pay this much. Oh, you Azman, you are fat, so you have to pay extra loading. No, I want to tabarruk, I want to donate a little bit only. Cannot, you have to donate more. So these are some of the issues. It is hibah. Hibah means I give willingly, but do I pay the Takaful premium or contribution willingly? Because that's what is imposed on me. Okay? And then, okay, you don't have time to discuss. This one, you discuss outside the Zoom meeting later on among you all, okay? Okay, how do we do the model? Now, we have what we call mudarabah. Quickly, you all, as I said, the notes are massive. It's 9 hours, but I'm talking about about 1 hour only. Here, you see that mudarabah means when this is a premium, I invest a premium, I get the profit from the premium, I share the profit from investment. That is mudarabah. So certain goes to the amount goes to the company, and then certain amount goes to the premium plus profit minus cost, and so on. Then you have a surplus, you give back 100% to the policyholders or participants. Now, similarly, for family takaful, we have two portion. We are talking about the risk account and the investment account. Both share the profits from investment. So the rest goes back to the participant. For the risk account, we call it the tabaruk. This is the tabaruk, the donation. This is the insurance fund. This is the investment fund. So we have wakalah. Wakalah means I pay the premium, I take a fee, wakalah fee. 100% of the profit goes to the contribution minus cost surplus. The surplus goes to the policyholders or participants. Similarly for the family takaful. Now, the other one is called, I call mudarabah too. Actually, it's not, where is it, the thing? Wakalah, mudarabah too. Actually, mudarabah is, I was the one that said that this is modified mudarabah. My knowledge at that time was very poor. So I said modified mudarabah. But everybody said the same thing. Now, modified mudarabah. But now, after a few, the last few years, I discussed with Professor Yunus and so on. And they say, we call it ju'alah lah better because it's more similar to ju'alah. So what is the difference between mudarabah and ju'alah? Is the same, but it's different from the mudarabah, the original mudarabah. The original mudarabah, you share the profits. In ju'alah, you share the surplus. Okay, you share here. You see, in mudarabah, I share here the investment return, but in we call it ju'alah or modified mudarabah. Let's call it ju'alah nowadays. Is we share the surplus here. Okay, that means, but in conventional insurance, 100% here goes to the insurance company, 100%. Okay, and here also 100% goes to the insurance company. But for takaful, we have so many models. So that's one difference. That's the main difference, the contract. Wadi'ah is a clear model to me. I have always proposed wadi'ah, but from business viewpoint, maybe some don't agree. Where the wadi'ah is like this, I take only the profit and surplus give back, but not pure wadi'ah. So I would suggest for takaful companies, we take wadi'ah and a bit of wakalah here. So but then we have a problem because this one also, for what they call prudency purposes, this is good. So I would allow all three, no issue. But here is very clear. For wadi'ah is very clear. Okay. So family takaful, the same thing. And then we have what? So remember, the insurance model, the conventional insurance, 100% of surplus goes to the insurance company. Mudarabah, share the profits. Ju'alah, share the surplus. Wakalah, take the fee. So that's different. Then we have wakaf. Wakaf is actually wakalah model, but they call it wakaf. Wakaf is something that, is a good concept, a beautiful concept, and because the scholars propose wakaf, so many people also want wakaf. But to me, in Malaysia, in Singapore, it's not workable, but it's a wakalah model. Wakaf, as a product is okay, but not as a model. Okay, why? Because wakaf means, if you want to be strict to wakaf, the capital does not reduce. It's only the wakaf from, the principal does not reduce, you wakaf from the residual income. But nothing in insurance will be, the principal amount or the capital will remain intact because you are paying off insurance. So that's why we need to understand this. Okay, so the comparison, as I said, I will go quickly, but you want to know further, all in my notes, one whole chapter, chapter 9 in my notes, you can read, it will take you maybe 3 hours to digest everything. But for quick one is contractual models. That's the different thing. For contract between insurance and takaful is different. Number 2, underwriting. Underwriting means what I accept. I have to look at the risk also, not only like conventional. For example, Genting Highland. Genting Highland once, Azman, I give you, This premium so much, 1 million, 2 million a year. You don't want a Genting Highland. I cannot. Why? Or Carlsberg. Carlsberg have a lot of premium. I cannot. So underwriting, I cannot accept. Okay, claims also. But claims, that's what we call ex gratia. I would say we still pay. We can do ex gratia, but normally I request that the one Shariah guy to be in the claims committee, the ex gratia committee. You know, sometimes the problem is like this: ex gratia can be abused because you pay claim. Oh, because our friend you know, this our sponsor so we have to pay the claims lah. So ex gratia must be Shariah in the sense that it's better for a Shariah person to be inside. And then Takaful. Takaful means Takaful of Takaful. So Takaful of Takaful must be Islamic. Of course, we have some issues later on which I will discuss. But in theory, if I take Takaful is Islamic, I give to other Takaful, that means Takaful of Takaful must be Islamic. Okay. And then fund management and investment, I can invest only in Islamic ones. I cannot invest non-Islamic, non-halal. And then accounting and finance, slightly different, but we have some issues here with IFRS and so on. Because in accounting, you have to separate the Takaful fund and the shareholders fund because you don't own the money because it's paid or contributed or donated by the participants or policy holders. So I only manage as a wakil, as an agent to the participants. So the accounting is slightly different especially for general insurance and general takaful. And then general management also, I have to make sure that everything 100% goes to must be Sharia compliant. You know, if halal food from the farm to the table, similarly for takaful end to end also. Issues. There are issues. Number one is a dichotomy between Sharia and, okay, let's go quickly. Dichotomy. Either you bring Islam to conventional, you bring conventional to Islam. So this is a problem, which is the right way. And some people say, no, you cannot bring Islam to conventional, you have to bring conventional to Islam. This issue has been addressed by a great scholar called Abdul Qadir Auda. He said between ignorant followers and incapable scholars. The followers are ignorant, the scholars are not capable. We have improved now, but in Takaful it's still the same thing. The practitioners are ignorant, they don't know about Sharia, and the Sharia find it difficult to understand the Takaful. That's why, alhamdulillah, but over the years, we have helped so many Sharia scholars and practitioners to understand this. And then product development. How do we develop the product? From conventional, we just do, but from Islamic, development is the same, but it must go through the Sharia. You know, the screening must go to evaluation. Sharia must be involved in the sense that they must know. Okay, but it's difficult sometimes because I've seen one or two products that it's not, to me lah, that's my opinion, it's not Sharia compliant, but some companies have approved it, but this is a matter of opinion. But you know, sometimes it's difficult to see the context, so these are still matters of opinion. But you can see that we have a problem between Sharia and practitioners. And then we have issues, surplus issues. AOFI said, you only allowed to distribute all. You can distribute yourself, but operator cannot take. You cannot take. In Malaysian scholars say, operator can take. Middle Eastern scholars say cannot. So this has been discussed and debated, and there's some, hopefully in future, there's some harmony in the opinion lah. Because we look at issues on competitiveness, issues, tax issues, and so on. Takaful also issue, I have discussed this a long time ago in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. It's called priority jurisprudence in Takaful. You have someone is Takaful company, but not rated, maybe it's not strong, dangerous. If you place the Takaful, you might not get back the money, whereas conventional is strong and so on, AAA rating. So what do I do? So we have to look in detail. Sometimes I have to choose Takaful, even though it's not rated, it's more Sharia compliant. But sometimes No. I had to choose the conventional one because if I choose, it's dangerous. So you have to add so many issues here. You can read my paper. It's a bad. The other one is nomination. These nomination issues also I've discussed 2009 in ISRA conference. To me, once you hibah, you cannot take back. And I've given all my arguments, but I cannot find in the internet. But I got this luckily somewhere. I prepared in 2009. Then we have the Islamic Financial Services Act in Malaysia, 2013. So we have a problem here because it says conditional hibah. What happened is that, it's a long story. In 1993, I think I was in Indonesia, and we have, okay, give me 3 more minutes. I was in Indonesia. What happened is that I came back, I was about a month in Indonesia, I came back, and then somebody from Takaful National called me on this issue of hibah. I said I cannot because apparently I think it was a meeting with Bank Negara Syariah Committee, but I was not ready because I was just came back, and I said that look at my paper. At that time I wrote a paper a very long time ago, and then what happened? The Syariah Committee decided that it is you can revoke the hibah. So this is a problem. I don't know whether it's politics or not, but to me, it shouldn't have happened. And then, what happened is that in 2013, is put in the Act. So, the Act prevails. I cannot say they are wrong, but whatever, my opinion still stands because there is no clarity. If it goes to court, we have a slight problem. I will reply to this if you ask a question on this. And then accounting also, I have RS17. I disagree with some of the things, but sometimes no choice lah, because Bank Negara or your regulator or the whole accounting, the world accounting standard accept ma. How can I say no? Well, if you ask my opinion, the columnar one, I say that we must put it. I was fighting against it and I argued for reason, but apparently I think it's difficult. So as a Sharia scholar, because I'm now a Sharia advisor to about several companies, what I do is, okay, from the accounting, you do IFRS, whatever, but from give it these things to me so that I can look. Okay, so these are the things that I think, because what happens is, they don't have this column. For example, let's say general insurance or general takaful, they have 5 motto and they don't break down. So on. So there's a slight problem here. They must do something to cater to this. Wabillahi taufiq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.